Oh, hey there, Bruiser Nation. Raise those anchors and get ready to wear the official merch of Bruzernation Productions. Visit BRUZERnationProductions.kincustom.com and show the world your love of the Bruiser Nation as you go about your day in style. We have Bruise Cruise podcast and To the Turnbuckle tees, hoodies, jackets, shoes, bags, and even pillows. You heard that right. Pillows. That's BRUZERnationProductions.kincustom.com. Once again, BRUZERnationProductions.kincustom.com. And remember, Bruiser Nation, stay good, because I'm always good. Oh, hey there, Bruiser Nation. Welcome back to another edition of the Bruise Cruise podcast, the only podcast that brings you pro wrestling for your ears. I hope you all enjoyed my first ever commercial with the help of my son, Jason Bruiser McCarthy Jr., and we are getting ready to continue our coverage of the G1 CLIMAX tournament. Yano Tano is making his way to the ring. Taishi Yano Tano. Jeez, one of these days I'll get all these names right. There's so many professional wrestlers to try to remember. And if you're interested, once again, BruzernationProductions.kincustom.com for the first merch partner of Bruiser Nation Productions, where you can find a lot of To the Turnbuckle and Bruise Cruise podcast merch available, print to order. Those are the companies I'm going with right now. It's much easier for myself to go ahead and just have, sign up for some websites through print to order methods because, well, I don't have the cash to really buy a whole bunch of merch and hope that I sell it. So we're going to try this route before we try to get more merchandise partners. Hopefully one of these days we'll get on Pro Wrestling Tees as well. But right now we are just working on making everything work slowly but surely. It takes time to build a business, and I'm trying to do it the right way. Also, if you are in the Ohio area within I'd say an hour drive of Lancaster or Columbus, if you need audio, video production, commercials made, podcasts produced, or even minister services in the variety of getting an ordained minister to be your officiant for your wedding, look no further than me, myself, and I, for I am an ordained minister. And I've only done it once, but I really did enjoy it for one of my close personal friends. And so, we have that going on right now, and we're trying to make a lot of moves here with Bruiser Nation Productions. as we continue our coverage of the G1 Climax tournament, I also want to remind you to subscribe, follow, and rate the Bruze Cruise podcast wherever you get your favorite podcast, as well as to the Turnbuckle, where me, Travis Napper, Logan Morris, and Ryan Hill talk about the week's happening in wrestling. Hopefully you'll check that out and, give us a like, and it's a live podcast on Facebook Live. We teamed up with Score On Air Network and Heel Turn Wrestling to bring you the best that we can of our thoughts on what's going on in WWE and AEW. And we have another merch partner, Bruzernation, shop.spreadshirt.com/Bruzernation Productions. There are hundreds of Bruzernation Productions affiliated gear, the Bruze Cruise podcast, to the Turnbuckle, Bruzernation Productions logos. We got it all. Well, maybe not all, but a lot. And here we go. The match has started. Taichi, Toro, Yano, and HIROOKI Goto going at it here. Slow start to the beginning. HIROOKI Goto, a member of the Chaos stable, made his way to the ring as I was rambling on and on about merch and shows. Removes his, I like that jacket. It's pretty legit. Blue and gold. I like the style. How long will this matchup go? Knows he very well may. Toru Yano very, very well may cheat again, like he always does in this matchup. I like that he's got a QR code on some of his merch. Maybe I'll steal that idea. Google makes it pretty easy to make QR codes. Shameless plug for Google. They don't need it, but I said it anyway. He threw his shirt at him. What in the world? He threw it back. Clothesline right to the back of the head. Reverse figure 4. Into a pin. 1, 2, 3. And that was fast. Wow. Well, Bruiser Nation, my rambling lasted longer than that matchup did. Toru Yano was completely surprised. What is going on in the G1 Climax tournament? A super quick victory. There's not even anything to rate there as far as that matchup is concerned. HIROOKI Goto got the better of Toru Yano. He was not going to let Toru Yano go about his cheating ways that he has gotten him this far and this many points in the G1 Climax tournament. Bruiser Nation, thank you so much for listening. The 18 seconds, the fastest G1 Climax matchup ever. HIROOKI Goto takes the victory and the points from Toru Yano. Follow, subscribe, and like the Bruze Cruise podcast wherever you get your favorite podcast. Visit our merchandise partners, BruzernationProductions.KinCustom.com and shop.spreadshirt.com/BruzerNationProductions. You can find a link to all of those at the Bruiser Nation Productions website. Quite simply, BruzerNationProductions.com. And once again, Bruiser Nation, stay good, because I'm always good.
Oh,
Hey there, Bruiser Nation. Raise those anchors and get ready to wear the official merch of Bruzernation Productions. Visit BRUZERnationProductions.kincustom.com and show the world your love of the Bruiser Nation as you go about your day in style. We have Bruze Cruise podcast and To the Turnbuckle tees, hoodies, jackets, shoes, bags, and even pillows. You heard that right. Pillows. That's BRUZERnationProductions.kincustom.com. Once again, BRUZERnationProductions.kincustom.com. And remember, Bruiser Nation, stay good, because I'm always good. Hey there, Bruiser Nation. Welcome back to another edition of the Bruze Cruise podcast, the only podcast that brings you pro wrestling for your ears. And this week we are going to do a special bonus episode. TORO Yano. This match ended pretty quickly, 18 seconds, I might add. Once again, a G1 Climax record as far as match time goes. So we're going to bring you Sanada versus Sabre Jr. on the special double edition of the Bruze Cruise podcast. Visit us at BRUZernationProductions.com, the official website of all things Bruiser Nation Productions. That's the Bruze Cruise podcast, Bruise Control, and To the Turnbuckle. We have merch. Links to all of those things are on BruzeCruisePodcast.com. We have shop.spreadshirt.com/Bruiser Nation Productions. And as you saw at the beginning and heard, if you're listening at the beginning of the episode, BruzernationProductions.kincustom.com, as Cold Skull Sanada makes his way to the ring to take on Sabre Jr. in the G1 Climax tournament. As I said, we're going to make this a special double episode. That first one was so quick and so fast. I rambled about merch and other shows like To the Turnbuckle longer than the actual match itself. So we're going to continue this coverage this week as Sabre Jr. makes his way to the ring. This is a guy I'd like to see take on the newly crowned IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Will Ospreay. If you didn't see that match between Will Ospreay and Kota Ibushi for the championship, I suggest you check it out. It was pretty legit. I didn't even plan to call Ospreay and Ibushi last week leading up to their title match. It just worked out that way. So check out that episode of the Bruze Cruise podcast. That was a marathon in itself. Sabre Jr. pacing around the outside of the ring, getting to the steps, stretching out, making sure he's nice and limber for his style of professional wrestling, which is pure technical. Wiping his feet in respect, maybe, to get into the ring. I don't know. Continues making himself limber. He is in the ring. I'm not sure what to expect from this matchup. Bruiser Nation. Sanada and Sabre Jr. Getting set to go toe-to-toe. Zack Sabre Jr. in the blue corner. Sanada in the red corner. Mario Yosame, old red shoes in this matchup. Huge stare down. Who will make the first mistake? Will Sanada get the points, or will Zack Sabre Jr. continue to technically wrestle his way through the G1 Climax tournament? Quick sunset flip attempt, cover, what? Nope, and it reversed again. Trading quick covers, but not even enough time for a 2-1 count. Huge transitions by both men trying to catch a quick victory. Bounces Zack Sabre off the ropes. Hip toss attempt countered by Zack Sabre Jr. Goes for a backslide, and now he's in the abdominal stretch hold by Zack Sabre Jr. Countered by Sanada. Grabs Zack Sabre Jr. by the head. Once again, a counter by Zack Sabre Jr. Covered. No, not even a one. Another one. Another multiple transitions into covers by both competitors here, trying to get the quick victory. It's so fast, they're getting 2 counts out of these. Zack Sabre Jr. bounces off the ropes after getting out of that. So these two are about to slow it down. Zack Sabre Jr. ducked a back elbow, nearly getting caught in the 3 with that quick counter by Sanada. Caught him by surprise. He's yelling at the referee over that. Zack Sabre Jr. is not happy. Let's see if these two continue this technical masterpiece we have so far. Lots of covers back and forth. There's probably been 20-some covers already, and this match is like a minute in. These two are working hard, trying to catch their breath, keep separated for a minute, see what's going on, reaching for the hand locks, locking fingers, heads to shoulders, old school lock up there. Waist lock by Zack Sabre Jr. Gets Sanada down to the mat, trying to work in some of his submissions. Complete arm control right now. Cover one. Nope. The ref missed that. The shoulder was not down. He only had one shoulder down, not two. Hammer lock by Zack Sabre Jr. Really locked in there. He's got both arms, got Sanada face first down on the mat. Both arms wrapped around Sanada's other one. Countered by Sanada and rolled through by Zack Sabre Jr. Trying to stay limber and quick and catch their breath. Once again, locking fingers, but Zack Sabre Jr. releases it, grabs a standing armbar, down to one knee, forces Sanada back down to the mat, picks him back up. Leg grab by Zack Sabre Jr. and now an ankle twist hold, toe hold, if you will, by Zack Sabre Jr. Trying to really tweak that knee, slow down Sanada, put him in a position to not be able to continue this fast-paced offense. Oh, that was a huge mistake by Sanada, and then he recovered it. Figure forward his own legs, got caught in a bow and arrow, rolled through real quick onto the cover of Zack Sabre Jr. Sanada did defeat Zack Sabre Jr. last year at G1 Climax 29. He very well may be trying to get revenge for that, as well as get the points here tonight. I'm sure he has not forgotten that loss to Sanada. Sanada's still rocking that Wolverine-style hair. I dig it. Bow and elbow tie-up. Nope. Another standing arm lock by Zack Sabre Jr. Corners the arm with the leg, rolls him over into an arm breaker. Pulling back. Pushing off from the neck and the shoulder, really wrenching back on Sanada's shoulder and arm. Getting back to his feet, trying to get out of this hold. And Sanada turns it around and puts Zack Sabre Jr. in it. Zack Sabre Jr. is keeping his arms locked, trying to prevent the full stretch of this submission hold. Sanada's able to break it. Zack Sabre Jr. getting up to his feet to counter. Forced back down to the mat by Sanada. Rolls around and gets his arms back up to his feet, and again forced back down to the mat by Sanada. Zack Sabre Jr. moving the waist, trying to get momentum back to get back in. Oh, he got it this time and into a headlock. What a counter by Zack Sabre Jr. Standing headlock takeover Zack Sabre Jr. And he returns in kind to the shoulder stretcher. A huge feeling out process, honestly, for both of these guys. Neither one wants to make a big mistake. Lots of counters, lots of submission holds. Sanada now moving his waist back and forth, counters into a headlock of his own. Zack Sabre Jr. saw it coming. Hammerlock on Sanada. Wrenches his elbow into the small of the back while still holding the hammerlock. Complete wrist control by Zack Sabre Jr. Twisting his arm almost completely around a 180, if you will. Nice roll through handspring, cartwheel handspring counter by Sanada. Lots of trickery to get a headlock takeover. Zack Sabre Jr. was ready for that too. Figure fouring the head, rubbing the elbow in the ribs. Really wrenching up on that, folding Sanada up like a accordion. Lots of pressure on the neck and midsection of Sanada. Continuing the pressure. Sanada may not be able to contend with the wrestling ability of Zack Sabre Jr. Tries to roll over, head face down, still caught in the figure four. Zack Sabre Jr. is not worried one bit. Bounces, twisting his weight. Kick up counter out of that hold from Sanada. Bounces off the ropes. Zack Sabre Jr. rolls out of the ring to recompose himself. That counter surprised him a little bit. Maybe rethinking his strategy, because Sanada, no slouch as far as the technical wrestling is concerned, and he has found a way to counter out of quite a few of these holds early on with Zack Sabre Jr. Both men on their feet, back in the ring. Sanada's asking for the hand lock once again. Will Zack Sabre Jr. go ahead and do it, trying to get limber? Looks like they're going for the hand locks again. Both men, and forced down. The power of Sanada on full display, as opposed to Zack Sabre Jr. pushing back on the wrist, forcing Zack Sabre Jr. back to down to both knees. Zack Sabre Jr. tries to counter, but he's forced back down, face first into the mat. Beautiful counter with the feet of Zack Sabre Jr. European uppercut to Sanada, and another one. Bounces off the ropes, boot by Zack Sabre Jr. Bounces off the other side, jump over by Sanada, jump over again by Sanada, and a drop kick by Sanada knocks Zack Sabre Jr. down to the mat. Plancha by Sanada. Zack Sabre Jr. moves out of the way, and now he's in the octopus hold on the outside. He can't win out here, but he can do a lot of damage. Really wrenching back on that. Whole body pulling back on the shoulder and arm of Sanada. Rolls Sanada back in the ring. Sanada is a little worse for wear after that exchange. Very smart wrestling by Zack Sabre Jr. Runs at Sanada and takes a drop kick right to the knee. That knee is heavily taped. Sanada knew it, and he nailed him with that drop kick right to the knee. Now Sanada's feeling it. Is this going to be Sanada's focus from this point on? He knew it was hurt. It's been taped. Tanahashi did all this damage a few matches ago. Grabs Zack Sabre Jr.'s leg, but Zack Sabre rolls through. Oh, a hammerlock twisted with his legs. He had Sanada's arm completely wrapped around in a hammerlock, which is with his feet, which you never see. Twisted his hips, causing complete damage. Hyperextending the arm of Sanada. Running PK attempt by Zack Sabre Jr. Sanada catches it. Dragon screw by Sanada. Looks like it was a slower one. Looks like Zack Sabre Jr. may have rolled his ankle on that too. Zack Sabre Jr. is really holding that leg. Figure 4 attempt by Sanada. Zack Sabre Jr. goes for an armbar. Sanada's got his hands locked, preventing the full extension of his arm by Zack Sabre Jr. And Zack Sabre Jr. is able to get full extension, really wrenching it in. Sanada's kicking his feet in pain, locks the head with his legs. Arm and head are trapped completely by Zack Sabre Jr. on Sanada, trying to choke the breath out of Sanada. Trying to get out of this quickly. That knee's got to be bothering him. Sanada's trying to escape this triangle choke, trying to force his way to his feet. He's on one knee, one foot, now both feet. Lifts Zack Sabre Jr. up into a powerbomb position. Puts him into a Death Valley driver position, but Zack Sabre Jr. is able to counter, and he's got him in a wicked dragon sleeper. Or a boa constrictor, if you will. Sanada quickly gets to the ropes. He had his arm trapped. He had his head trapped like backwards with his other arm, squeezing the life out of him with his legs around the waist. These two men are absolutely ridiculous. Fast-paced, technical wrestling. They are already exhausted. Both men have injuries. This is, a hard kick by Zack Sabre Jr. and another kick to the arm. And a third. Zack Sabre Jr. has picked his spot. Bounces off the ropes. Sanada follows, chases Zack Sabre Jr., rolls him over. Dragon sleeper by Sanada. Zack Sabre Jr. is caught. Rolls through. Goes to pin. Sanada rolls through. Zack Sabre Jr. rolls through. Cover 1, 2. Sanada kicks out at 2. Bridged with his whole body did Zack Sabre Jr. to try to get that 3 count. European uppercut twice by Zack Sabre Jr. Now he's calling for more for Sanada. Baited Sanada with the European uppercut. Hits him with a third. Oh, back elbow as Zack Sabre Jr. was running. Moonsault by Sanada. Caught again in the Dragon Sleeper. Zack Sabre Jr. rolls through and puts him in the Dragon Sleeper of his own. Twists him around. Goes for the Zack driver. Gets caught in the Dragon Sleeper. Pele kick to the arm. Charges Sanada. Counters. Roll up by Sanada. 1, 2. Kicks out at 2. Another boa constrictor by Zack Sabre Jr., this time on the mat. Tries to control the waist to no avail, but he's still got his head completely trapped with his arms locked behind him. Zack Sabre Jr. is absolutely ridiculous. Lifts him up from that position, drops him back down. Sanada rolls through, gets out of it. Once again in the Dragon Sleeper, goes for a reverse vertical suplex and hits a cutter with Zack Sabre Jr.'s legs hanging off of the top rope. Moonsault from the top. Sanada 1, 2, 3. Sanada defeats Zack Sabre Jr. 2 years in a row, Sanada has been able to defeat Sabre Jr. in the G1 Climax tournament. And Sabre Jr. doesn't even realize that it's over at this point. He is still trying to go after Sanada. What a back and forth matchup, Bruzernation. That was absolutely ridiculous. Be sure you follow, subscribe, and rate to the Bruze Cruise podcast wherever you get your favorite podcast. Visit us at BRUZERNationProductions.com. Check out our merch pages, BRUZERNationProductions.kincustom.com, and the newest merch partner, shop.spreadshirt.com/BruzerNationProductions. Links to both of our merch websites are on the Bruzer Nation Productions webpage and the Facebook page. Check out To the Turnbuckle each and every week on Tuesday. It's WrestleMania week. We did a whole bunch of predictions last night. We'll find out who was right and who was wrong next week on To the Turnbuckle, as we all spend our entire lives watching professional wrestling, because now it's on every day of the week. Not just WrestleMania week, but with NXT moving to Tuesday and my favorite show, AEW Dynamite, staying on Wednesdays, we have Raw, NXT, Dynamite, Impact's on Thursdays, SmackDown's on Fridays. New Japan does stuff all week long. There's almost too much wrestling to consume, and what more can we ask for as wrestling fans? And remember, Bruzer Nation, stay good, because I'm always good.